Yeah, so a lot of things moving. Have you ever gone fishing before?
I've gone fishing. Actually, my best friend was the one that taught me how to fish.
I sure like eating fish, though. That's a good thing. You like fish? You have that part of your diet?
I like fresh fish.
You got to eat it fresh, or else it's not good, right? It's a fish that's spoiled is going to be
fish that's
spoiled. That, right? So, anyway.
Yeah.
What's your favorite fish?
Well, no, I like salmon.
Salmon?
Yeah, salmon.
That's always a winner.
Because we're overfishing the oceans, we will have to rely on inland fisheries to feed the population of the world.
Well, why do you think that is? Is there a problem with our fishes in the oceans and the lakes and seas right now?
I think there is. There's a question of sustainability. We're going to need more meat sources as the population grows. But the way that we're fishing right now is we're overfishing the oceans. That just means in several decades we may run out of fish to fish from the ocean. So at that point, our choices are doing inland fisheries.
So that's a problem. So we need inland fisheries, I guess, maybe at this point as a stopgap measure to sort of help us.
Part of the problem is using smaller fish as fish meal for the larger inland fish to grow.
Weren't you also saying to feed the fish, they have to use small fish to use to feed as food sources for the fish, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's that efficient because you need a lot of fish just to make 1 unit of fish meal.
Yeah, that's a
so
problem.
then you have to throw out all the guts and everything. What are you going to do with those? And then you throw those out, and that causes a lot of waste as well.
Because the guts and stuff are things that something would eat, that we're just throwing them away. But we're getting that food source out of the oceans also, right? We're taking that food source away from the fish just to feed fish in the inland. So therefore, that's 3 to 5 times inefficient. So we're creating more of a problem by overfishing those types of resources too, right?
You can't feed the fish waste or grow insects from the food waste.
So are there healthier ways to implement a fishery, you think?
I think so. I think there's a couple ways. And we need to feed them healthier foods, obviously. You could even feed it some of the food waste itself.
Yeah, the fish will eat that up, yeah.
And then there's other types, so you can cultivate other types of food that are healthy, why not have dedicated controlled environments where you use food waste to grow the insects, and then you transport that and give it to the fish and the chickens. That seems like the best solution.
That is a great solution, brother. That's great. That's a great one.
Other options are feeding the fish single-cell proteins, algae, and aquatic plants.
There's things called single-cell proteins, from fungi and yeast that you could grow from the food waste as well. You could grow algae, dedicated algae to feed to the fish, and those are good too because they have the healthy oils in them.
Oh, that's right. That's a good point.
So they have the polyunsaturated fatty acids, and if you cultivate them the right way, those get into the fish, and then when you eat the fish, that's good. But if you don't feed them that algae, they don't usually get that.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So there's algae. Then another good one is duckweed.
Duckweed, yeah.
We were talking about that. So they did duckweed for a while. That's an aquatic plant, but it grows very rapidly. The doubling time is very short, and it has a lot of protein in it. So that would be good to feed. I think chickens would like it too, but fish and chickens would like it.
That's great. Those are healthy things right there. And they're good food sources that we could even grow well and just augment their food source.
There are great aquaculture systems you can grow fish in that are very healthy for them, like aquaponics.
What about a fishery that was maybe a little better run, may take more space, but instead of contain all those fish inside, maybe some of those aqua systems or aquaponics.
Aquaculture systems.
Aquaculture.
There's a lot of sustainable aquaculture systems. You were just telling me one about the aquaponics, right? One way of.
Well, one of our friends does that. You and I know him, and he has a big fish tank, huge fish tank that he uses rainwater to collect in this big, it's like a 2,000 gallon tank or something, and then he uses that water and he has pumps and stuff to pump it into a big fish tank. But then that water is recirculated into some hydroponic growing for his garden, like tomatoes and things like that, in a greenhouse. And so then he circulates that back into the tank and things.
Well, I didn't know he had a greenhouse for that. I haven't seen this facility.
It's pretty neat because all that food waste, instead of it being dumped out, it's being now fed to plants. And he doesn't use any antibiotics, no pesticide junk, feeds them healthy stuff. And so he's he's basically, and some of the stuff he grows, he can feed also back to the fish, as he's growing in this, from the food waste that he has from his greenhouse. And so it's a great system.
There are several other effective aquaculture systems that grow healthy fish that could become part of the inland fishery system.
Yeah, and there are other ways of making the growing system sustainable. Like you can do constructed wetlands where they have different ponds, and it's kind of the same idea where you feed the wastewater to like these plants that have like gravel and stuff underneath. And they have other ponds like aeration and sediment ponds. They recycle that water, but that's like a constructed wetland, and you can do I think they're called recirculating aquaculture systems. So like there's mechanical and biological based ones. And so the biological based ones, you can have like a photobioreactor for algae or a reactor, and put the waste through that, and then feed that algae to the fish as a whole system.
Nice.
And they can do it mechanically, usually with like flotation devices or like peroxide to treat the wastewater and feed it back in. So there's a lot of different kinds of sustainable systems.
What's the raceway one you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, there's kind of like with algae, they do open pond raceways, but you just add fish to that.
Okay.
So like in Death Valley, they grow a lot of spirulina, and those are open pond raceways. They have these little paddle wheels, and the algae just circulates around, but they can add fish to that too. The fish eat that and the algae, so it gives them the nutrients they need.
You can look online and you find a lot of great sustainable systems like that, where they're, like having these fish tanks, even they're outside, and around trees in the sun, and then they go down these waterways, and it's pretty cool. It's really nice setup, and they got greenhouses where it flows through, and they go in some hydroponic growing, and so it comes back down, a little waterfalls, and it comes back in. It's kind of a neat sort of zen, environment, but it's also very healthy for the fish and for the plant life too. So it's a very nice way to have a food source.
So what's the message? What's the take-home message for climate change there, boy? Like for all this fisheries and stuff.
Bugs are for chickens and for fish, and let's make the fisheries healthy with all those ideas you talked about. We can make them healthy and sustainable as well. So we don't want to get rid of them. We want to make them better, so that we have those good food sources for generations yet to come.
Sounds good. I like those.